Have you ever wondered why a tiny shot in your arm can protect you from something as scary as polio or measles? It's kind of like giving your body a superhero training manual before the villain even shows their face. Imagine your body is a giant castle. You've got tall walls, locked gates, and guards patrolling everywhere. These guards are your immune system, your body's defense squad. Most days, the guards handle troublemakers just fine. A cold here, a little flu there. But sometimes, a really big villain appears. Measles, smallpox, polio, these are like armies with catapults and fireballs. If the guards don't know what's coming, the castle can get overrun. So how do we prepare the guards before the attack? That's where vaccines come in. Here's the cool part. Your guards don't just fight, they also remember. Let's say a burglar sneaks in. At first, the guards might stumble around, trying to figure out what works. Maybe they waste some time chasing shadows, but eventually they catch the burglar, lock him up, and most importantly, they remember his face. Next time that same burglar shows up, the guards recognize him instantly, grab him by the collar, and toss him out before he causes any damage. That's your immune system in action. And vaccines? They're like giving your guards a wanted poster before the burglar even comes. Okay, so what's inside these magic shots? It depends, but the idea is always the same. Some vaccines use a weakened version of the germ. Some use just a tiny piece, like a mugshot of the villain. Some are like fake practice dummies built to look scary enough to train the guards, but harmless in reality. Your body sees these practice villains, gets a little startled, and then says, "Oh, we know this guy now," and the memory locks in. That's why sometimes you get a sore arm, or maybe feel a little tired after a shot. It's not because you're sick, it's because your guards are holding emergency drills inside your castle. Now let me tell you a story. Hundreds of years ago, smallpox was one of the deadliest villains humanity had ever faced. It left scars, blindness, and killed millions. Entire towns were wiped out. People feared even the whisper of its name. But then scientists discovered vaccines. They started teaching the immune systems of people all over the world to recognize smallpox before it struck. Slowly but surely, the disease had fewer and fewer places to hide. And in 1980, something incredible happened. Smallpox was completely wiped out, gone, erased from Earth, all because of vaccines, one of humanity's greatest victories. That's the power of a training manual for your guards. Here's a question you might be thinking. If the guards remember forever, why do we sometimes need booster shots? Well, memory is a funny thing. Some guards have a sharp memory, like measles vaccines where 1 or 2 doses can last decades, but others are a little forgetful. Take tetanus, for example. Your guards might forget what the tetanus villain looks like after about 10 years. That's when doctors say, "Hey, let's refresh their memory." And boom, another wanted poster goes up on the castle walls. Boosters are basically like giving your guards a refresher course, so they never get sloppy. Now here's a tricky one, the flu. Unlike other villains, the flu is like a master of disguises. Every year it shows up wearing a new mask. One year it's got a red hat, the next year a green cape. Your guards see the new disguise and go, "Wait, is that the same guy?" That's why flu vaccines change every year. Scientists study the most likely disguises the flu will wear, then update the wanted posters. It's a constant game of cat and mouse. But you have to know the truth. Vaccines don't always mean you'll never, ever get sick. Sometimes, even with training, a sneaky burglar might slip through a window. But here's the difference. If your guards are trained, they'll stop him fast. That means instead of a huge castle fire, you might just have a tiny scorch mark on the wall. In other words, vaccines turn dangerous diseases into minor annoyances. Now let's zoom out. Vaccines don't just protect you, they protect everyone around you too. Think of it like this. If only a few people in a city put out buckets of water when there's a fire, the flames can spread house to house. But if everyone lines up with buckets, the fire doesn't stand a chance. This is called herd immunity. When enough people are vaccinated, even those who can't get shots, like tiny babies or people with weak immune systems, are protected because the villain simply has nowhere to go. That's why vaccines are a team effort. You're not just protecting yourself, you're protecting your neighbors, your grandparents, even strangers you'll never meet. We can't talk about vaccines without mentioning COVID-19. When the coronavirus showed up, it was like a brand new villain we'd never seen before. The whole world's guards were caught off guard. Scientists raced to make a vaccine. And here's the amazing part. Using new technology, they created one in less than a year. These vaccines taught immune systems to recognize the coronavirus's spike protein, its most famous feature. And while COVID didn't disappear, millions of people avoided severe illness because their guards had a head start. Now, let's be real. Some people feel nervous about vaccines. Shots aren't fun. Nobody likes needles, and the idea of putting something germ-like in your body can sound weird. But vaccines go through years of testing before doctors give them out. They're studied on thousands of people, and scientists keep monitoring them even after they're approved. Are they perfect? Nope, But compared to the danger of the actual disease, vaccines are one of the safest bets your castle can make. Here's the exciting part. Scientists aren't stopping here. They're inventing new kinds of vaccines. Needle-free sprays for kids who hate shots, universal flu vaccines that could handle all disguises, even cancer vaccines, teaching guards how to spot rule-breaking cells inside the body itself. It's like upgrading your guards from regular watchmen into superheroes. At the end of the day, vaccines aren't just science, they're stories. They're the reason kids don't die from measles like they did 100 years ago. They're the reason grandparents get to watch their grandkids grow up. They're the reason smallpox, a monster that terrified humanity for centuries, is now nothing more than a page in history books. Vaccines are hope bottled up in a tiny vial. So why do vaccines matter? Because they give your body's guards the knowledge they need to win. They don't make you invincible, but they tilt the odds in your favor and in humanity's favor too. Every shot is a tiny shield, every vaccine is a gift of memory, and every time you roll up your sleeve, you're not just protecting yourself, you're joining one of the greatest team efforts in human history. And that's pretty incredible. If this makes sense, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe so we can keep making big science feel small.